One of the most legendary beefs online in the MMA community is MMA Guru versus Nina Drama. If you guys haven't checked out that entire back and forth, it began with MMA Guru made some comments about a reporter at a UFC event, some random joke, and Nina Drama was friends with that reporter. So she took to the defense of the reporter and went on a tirade against MMA Guru. There's a long post where she really went at him, called him all sorts of negative things. Now, I think she was not only defending her friend, but she was also charged up because MMA Guru had like talked about her multiple times on live streams, whatever. Anyways, they had some back and forth. MMA Guru, as he does, made a lengthy video just going in on Nina Drama. And I think that beef was pretty much settled. The MMA Guru is not somebody you want to get into an online beef with. So he handled the business the way that you would assume MMA Guru would handle the business. I think he's like undefeated in terms of online beefs. He's pretty hard to get. So anyways, he did that. It seems like Nina Drama has wanted nothing to do with MMA Guru since. She tries to never talk about him on videos. I think she was streaming once with Sean Strickland. Somebody mentioned MMA Guru, and there's a clip of it where she basically like shushes him and doesn't even want to mention MMA Guru whatsoever. Anyways, finally, we now get a clip of Sean Strickland discussing and talking about MMA Guru. I wasn't sure how he felt about him, because he's super close with Nina, and he definitely went off on Nina. So Aidan Ross, on this live stream that Sean Strickland did with Aidan, the chat brings up MMA Guru, and I thought he gives a very interesting response. And we're going to talk about what I think this means in terms of how he feels, how he feels relative to Nina, because of course I think he's mentioned he looks at Nina like a sister, etc. So let's check out this live response, this live reaction from Sean Strickland.
Sean, my chat wants to know, am I allowed to ask? I don't want to like ever disrespect you, but they said MMA Guru. I don't know who that is though.
So MMA Guru, dude, he's like this fucking, he's
like a media guy.
Yeah, he's like a media guy, but he talks a lot of shit. Okay. I have nothing against him. The problem is, dude, he just makes a living on being a fucking troll. Like, he doesn't really report on MMA. He just kind of like, you know, hey, I looked into this guy's life and he may have fucked it, and he may have fucked a dude once, and let's put him on blast and, you know, talk shit to him. So it's kind of like you kind of get famous by kind of ruining people's lives, you know.
Sean, what are your thoughts on the UFC?
All right, so there's his 2 cents on MMA Guru. Now, I feel like he probably has never watched this content. He's only been told stuff from Nina or random other people. And again, a lot of the things that MMA Guru is most known for is his jokes, his off-color remarks, the thing when he goes after Nina Drama, when he goes after Ariel. If you just add all the stuff he's talked about in terms of John Jones, like I think that's what he's referencing, this whole series of why John Jones is gay or whatever, which I don't even know if he's serious or not, and it is what it is. But those are the things he's known for. In fact, this is highly inaccurate. If you actually listen to his streams and watch his content regularly, he's actually very knowledgeable about the sport of MMA. He doesn't just go and ruin people's lives. I mean, like occasionally that happens in Collateral Damage, but overall, the reason why people like him is because he's actually a diehard fan. He probably knows more about the UFC fighters in the deepest realms of the UFC roster than anybody in the game, and that probably includes UFC staff and personnel to a large degree. He is really knowledgeable. He's very smart, and he knows the sport super, super well. But yes, he does have a sense of humor. And yeah, he will go in pretty hard on some people. And I think that, I guess, has harmed people in the past. But I don't think it's fair for Sean Strickland to say this, because we have a clip right here of Sean Strickland doing something very similar. If you guys remember when he fought Israel Adesanya, check this clip out.
Oh, there we go. Hey, you know what? You know what, man? The moment I post a video of me jerking off my dog, they will put some credibility to that. Fucking puppy porn, man. I had to double check that shit just to make sure it was legit. And it was legit.
Okay, so there's that little clip right there where he basically does the exact same thing that he's accusing MMA Guru of. And by the way, the crowd really lit Izzy up from this. So you guys might think that was an innocuous comment. I think it really, really pissed Israel Adesanya off. People were like chanting dog effort in the crowd. Like, that's gotta suck. And I don't know the details of like why he posted that video, or if that video was real or whatever Sean Strickland's talking about, but I know the crowd really berated him and went after him. So I mean, that's exactly he's saying that's what MMA Guru does, and Sean's famous for like going in on people deep and railing them. So I just thought it was kind of funny. The last thing I'll say, which I find interesting, is that I would have thought that Sean Strickland, because he's so close with Nina, and MMA Guru made this entire rant on Nina Drama, that I thought he might come to her defense and be like, F this guy is a piece of crap. If he ever comes in here, I'm going to kick his butt, whatever. But he didn't. And I wonder why. So I have two potential theories, two potential ideas. And I know Justin trains with Sean. I know he knows Sean well. This is just pure speculation. I have no inside information, but I'm like, so why does he feel this way versus having a more angry feeling? Number one, he could be like, hey, Nina's a big girl. She can handle herself. It's just a little back and forth beef. Doesn't make me feel a particular way about MMA Guru. Okay, that's one possibility. The other, though, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying people are afraid per se, but MMA Guru, as I mentioned, is undefeated in online beefs. And Sean, despite what a lot of people think and things he says and whatever, but he's a smart guy. And I think he knows, and the fighters know in general, I don't think anybody wants to get into a beef with MMA Guru. That's my feeling. That's why I think he's saying he doesn't have anything against him, because he's a guy you do not want to cross. Like I said, he's undefeated on YouTube, and I think he will remain undefeated. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. Sean Strickland finally brings up and responds and talks about MMA Guru and has a fairly nice stance on him. I think it's inaccurate and in terms of him saying all he does is ruin people's lives. That's just probably, he's not an MMA Guru fan, and it is what it is. But I encourage you guys, if you're true fans of the sport and you want to know the real ins and outs, you want to get good fight predictions, I will say watch MMA Guru. He's very entertaining, but more importantly, he's intelligent and knowledgeable about the sport. That's all I got to say about that. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.